Currently, we are forecasting that we are going to have 1.8 million Kenyans who will require emergency food in the next 3 months because of the envisaged failure of rains, of short rains. We are prepared as a government to deal with any emergencies arising from this drought. We have alerted our institutions. The State Department of Special Programs is on standby to provide any Kenyan affected by drought, any Kenyan affected by food shortage. Under Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution, we are obliged to ensure that no Kenyan dies of food shortage, no Kenyans dies of lack of food. More than 4 billion shillings will be required to take care of that food shortage, so that the government buys food for people who will be affected by drought in the next 3 months. What we have done again is that we are going to fund state institutions who are concerned with providing resilience for the victims of drought. Resilience in terms of providing water, in terms of restocking, helping Kenyans to cope with emergencies of drought.
In 6 countries, with data meeting the GRFC methodology requirements, that is Djibouti, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan and Uganda, 42 million people, or 29% of the analyzed population, face high levels of acute food insecurity in 2025. In the 5 countries with comparable data since 2016, that is Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, the Sudan, and Uganda, the number of people in crisis or worse, that is IPC phase 3 or above, has tripled from 13.9 million in 2016 to 41.7 million in 2025. The Sudan remains the region's largest and most severe food crisis. Though data remains limited, 24.6 million people, representing 51% of the analyzed population, were projected to face high levels of acute food insecurity between December 2024 and May 2025 by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, that is the IPC. There was, however, a difference between this analysis and the one by the IPC Technical Working Group in the country, particularly in the Phase 5 or catastrophe classification. South Sudan has the region's highest prevalence of acute food insecurity, with 57% of its population in crisis or worse. In Kenya, specifically in the arid and semi-arid lands, ASALs, 2.8 million people, which is an increase by 891,000 from the 2024 peak, were projected in IPC phase 3 or above between April and June 2025. And this was largely on an assumption of below average March to May rainfall season. The season ultimately improved pasture and water availability in some parts, but erratic distribution and dry spells in others disrupted crop development. Due to seasonal improvements, at the moment, 1.8 million people in Kenya are estimated to be facing high levels of acute food insecurity, so a decline. Between October 2025 and January 2026, however, the number is expected to rise to 2.1 million. And this is due to the expected impacts of the forecasted below average October to December seasonal rains. 27.6 million people are in crisis, that is IPC phase 3, meaning that they either have food consumption gaps reflected by high or above usual acute malnutrition, or are marginally able to meet minimum food needs, but only by depleting essential livelihood assets. This is a 5% increase since 2024, driven by a rise in Kenya, in Somalia, and South Sudan. Lastly, in terms of severity, 33.6 million people are in stressed, that is IPC phase 2. This is 2.4 million more people than in 2024, with the largest increases recorded in Kenya, followed by Somalia, the Sudan, and South Sudan. Populations in this phase need livelihood support and resilience strengthening. Of particular concern to us are the 15.6 million people classified in this phase in the Sudan and who risk transitioning into worse-off phases. The upcoming October to December 2025 rainfall season is forecast to be drier than usual in several parts, and this includes eastern Kenya and much of Somalia, which remains of concern given that drought conditions currently persist. Unfortunately, this risks negatively impacting crop production, pasture regeneration, and water availability, and it also underscores the need for anticipatory action.